What's up, guys? I'm Nick.
And I'm Zach.
And we are Supermoon Studios. Today we're going to be reviewing We're All Going to the World's Fair.
Hey guys, Casey here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking the World's Fair Challenge.
So, you want to join the internet's scariest online horror game? We can't be held responsible for what you become. All you have to do to get started is take the challenge.
So what'd you think of this one, Zach? It's been a while since we've seen it, but we did want to discuss it finally.
But I thought it was great. I didn't know what to expect. Kind of like, I guess, Men. I kind of had a preconceived notion about what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then it was the complete opposite.
It was a pretty, I'd say, oppressive film. You're kind of stuck in the webcam the whole time, and you're only allowed to see kind of what's part of the contest kind of thing. You don't really see.
I guess big spoiler warning. This is really more of a discussion of We're All Going to the World's Fair than a review. I think it's safe to say we both enjoyed it.
Yeah, spoiler alert. We enjoyed it. I don't know if we don't do verdicts on these, so so spoiler alert. There's no verdict. But yeah, no. I think the experience of this film is more than kind of the sum of its whole once you're like done with the film and you kind of understand what it was actually talking about and what it was going for.
Yeah.
Not to disparage like anything that it was talking about, but it is one of those things that you do have to kind of experience it for yourself before you can kind of have any kind of opinion on it.
Yeah.
So I guess just a quick rundown of the plot in case you guys haven't seen it and don't care about spoilers. A young girl joins an internet contest where you're supposed to say we're all going to the World's Fair, and you do a little Bloody Mary ritual kind of thing,
Yep.
and then after that you're in the contest and you just wait around, and apparently some weird stuff is supposed to happen to you once you start this contest. And so there's like a bunch of like archival YouTube footage shit that they show of like other contestants going through some kind of crazy things over the course of the film, but we're really just with this one actress the whole film, and we're kind of experiencing what she's experiencing in real time, and because we're in the webcam, it almost feels like there's this real separation between us and the character.
Yeah.
And once she kind of starts going through kind of her transformation or metamorphosis, which the whole movie is about, we kind of start to feel that disconnect more and more, I feel like.
Yeah,
so.
It kind of feels like almost we're kind of a fellow follower of this challenge, kind of like we're watching her. And then as we kind of realized, oh, this whole thing is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's, I think, when the separation happens, when we're just kind of watching this character fully envelop.
She kind of gives herself
over
to this
idea. And it becomes part of her, and we just continue the separation, and we just watch this character just completely lose herself.
I think the worst part, which of course was the whole climax of the film, anyways, when she rips up her stuffed bunny. But yeah, there's that moment at the end where she really just kind of loses herself in this challenge, and she kind of loses. I think even more so it could be extension of she loses kind of the innocence of what it's like to be a child, and it's of course a coming of age film like throughout the entirety of it, because we're dealing with an adolescent teen who's kind of trying to find herself, probably is spending a lot of time on her computer, so probably isn't the most popular at school, we could imagine. There's really a lot of things that you can kind of assume from everything that you're given, and we do know that her dad was abusive as well, right? He yells at her a few times through the other side of the door.
Yeah, well, I think that's another interesting thing is we're completely in this character's perspective, so much so that we don't even see her parents. We just hear,
it feels like Etta and Nettie or like Charlie Brown or something.
Yeah, we just hear the voice of the parents. We never actually.
Yeah, and I think that
we actually only see one adult in the whole movie,
and it's the other guy.
It's the
right?
other guy. That
yeah, so that almost even more so adds to that like Kids on the Block feel, or like young coming of age film again, like. We're fully in the child's perspective, even though we're probably twice the age of this character.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the lead actress, she did a phenomenal job. That opening monologue I remember we were watching it, and it's just this one long webcam take. It's probably like 10 minutes long.
Yeah, and that's the other thing
opening.
too. Is this film has so many beautiful long takes that are filled with purpose.
Yeah, and there's even that one where he, like, the guy does he pick up his webcam and walk all the way through his house kind of thing, and then, like, they're still acting together on screen, and just, like, to imagine, like, these two characters in completely different places had to match this timing and this blocking. It's just, like, it's really remarkable how they were able to tell this story with just kind of this new way that people are telling stories, this new film language, I believe, as it was called.
There's a lot that you can kind of pull from this, whatever. It's another one of those, this kind of like is a common theme with, like, if you look at the Men review or the Lamb review, there's a lot of different things that you can kind of pull out of this, whatever you want it to say. It could be a commentary on parasocial relationships online.
Yeah.
Or, like...
it deals with a lot of mental health.
And a lot
online. Of kind of what kids go through nowadays. It's a very poignant and, like, purposeful film for this generation, I think, too.
And I think the first thing that I immediately thought of was that true crime case of the two kids who murdered their friend in the name of Slender Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Slender murder, right?
Yeah, Slender Murder. I don't think there's
no, I don't know if no one's coined that term yet. That's a Supermoon Studios original, Slender Murders. If anyone's still talking about that shit. In
but yeah, no, I think that's immediately so easy to draw parallels between that.
Yeah.
Because the We're All Going to the World's Fair. I think we even when we saw the trailer, we were talking about was this actually a creepypasta?
Yeah.
Or, like, was this a thing before?
It's so cool how they invented this kind of online game, and it's something that someone totally would have made, like, in 2011 or whatever,
yeah, exactly.
When all this stuff was going around. It feels so authentic to that time period and authentic to kind of how kids reacted to these creepypastas and, conspiracy videos and stuff that came out around the time.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. I think it perfectly encapsulates that whole era of creepypasta and Slender Man.
Yeah.
And
it feels weirdly like a movie for people our age, but also a movie for people who are going through it right now, too, which is kind of a cool... It has very much a dual audience. Then, of course, you can even go further and be like the parents of kids who are in school right now could find a lot of enjoyment out of, like, just seeing kind of what kids go through on a daily basis and how much they can actually kind of lose themselves in these online communities that are out there. I do think, too, with just like Men and Lamb, this is like Men less so than Lamb, but it's a horror movie, I'd say, but there's so much other stuff going on at play. It's definitely more of a drama film or even just, like, just performance art for performance art's sake in some aspects, because this character is just given so many long scenes by herself where she just kind of gives herself over to whatever it is that's kind of tormenting her inside. So I think my favorite shot of the whole movie, and I think we've talked about this before, is when the guy cuts his arm open and he's got the Admit One tickets coming out of his arm, which is, like, probably one of the coolest, like, practical effects we've seen in a while. And I think just that kind of, again, adds to the mystery of the whole film. What actually was that? You know what I mean? Was that just her imagination of what she saw? Was that someone, made a prank video where they actually rigged that up or something? Is that what
I think that kind of goes back to what we were previously talking about, where you're kind of like, it's that separation.
Yeah.
Where you're it's kind of that scene kind of comes at the point where you're like, okay, maybe this isn't real.
Yeah.
Maybe this is actually a fake thing that everybody knows is fake, and all these people who are making these videos are kind of
buying
into it, or they're just playing along, like, isn't like when Slender Man
kind of came
out, and everyone would make those like Slender Man YouTube videos, like, he's outside my window.
Oh my god, there he is.
So that could totally...
some of them looked so good back then too. I think that's definitely exactly.
That could totally be playing into it, where he's like, because if you look at it too, it does look kind of cheap. So you're not sure if that was like on purpose or like...
It's a little crude, but like, it is a low budget film, so it could just be, but it could also be, you can interpret it that way, where it's like, okay, this was someone who did it by themselves in their room just to play out the spirit of the game, which, again, these communities get so into these things, like, even not even just on the dangerous side of, like, the Slender Murders, but, I mean, which coined Supermoon Studios Slender Murders, but, on the side of, like, people make fan art, they make videos, they make...
like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, exactly. Just these communities grow so much, and I think it's just really cool to... Not only are you with, like, someone who's going through this, but she's almost a complete outsider to this game, you know what I mean? She's just, like, one of us, and not only that, she's not doing it with her friends, she's not doing it with anyone at school, it's just her in her own room kind of experiencing whatever this is.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's... And even, too, like... I think it's like perfect. The way the game is set up too, where you do it by yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's almost like on purpose.
Yeah.
I think that kind of it goes back to like even just take the online aspect out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think to have like a challenge for people who maybe are kind of feel lonely and stuff, something for them to do.
Yeah.
It kind of plays into their own kind of psyche.
Yeah. And then that almost leads us right to kind of the dichotomy of the only other character in the film who's also playing the game along with her. He messages her at like the beginning of the film and then kind of keeps up with her throughout the game, and then eventually they end up meeting online, and then it's alluded later that they met outside of the game.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we have these two characters who are kind of on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, one is in her room by herself, like playing this game, whereas and she's a young girl, whereas this other older man he's definitely, I'd say 30s, 40s even.
Something like that, yeah.
And he's living in a child's bedroom, it seems like, at the time, but he has this whole beautiful house to himself, so, possibly it leaves it wide open for you to interpret. Is this his son's room he's in? Is this a room he keeps in his own house? Is he living with his parents that aren't home right now? There's so many different ways you can interpret that, but you can also interpret it kind of how he comes after her in almost a predatory nature that almost kind of ends up as something completely different. By the end
I
of
think
it.
I think by the end, I think he's kind of almost the audience in a way.
Yeah.
Where because in the beginning, he plays into
He's
it.
very much into
But then
it.
there's like a point where he's like stops and goes, this
isn't real, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the biggest. Well, it's supposed to be, but it is one of the biggest moments in the film where he takes a step and it's almost like he's looking at us when he says it. Like we've been kind of going along for the ride with her the whole time.
Exactly.
And so it's almost like he winks to the camera and he's like, none of this is real. She's actually going through some shit right now. So, and then that again just kind of leads to the ending where this. Again, you could interpret all of this as had really happening, and maybe another force really took over her, or maybe it's just someone who was looking for an outlet for emotion, and she has a big monologue at the end about how she found help for her mental illness, and how that kind of changed her perspective on things, and how she was in a really dark place at the time that she kind of latched onto this thing. And so, again, these communities can do more danger than they mean to, I think, in a lot of instances. So. And I think that might be, again, another point of it, where it's like once it's released to the public, it's like you never know how someone is going to interpret it.
Exactly.
The music was insane too. I think the music really helps carry the movie throughout. It has like a very old like synthwave style to it, but then it also has like a lot of mystery packed into it.
Yeah.
So just the way that it gives a lot of space in the film during these like long monologues, and it almost feels like cinema verite for a little bit, and then it'll kind of go back and recede into the character's mind. And again, there's just like a pane of glass keeping us away from her throughout the whole film.
That kind of helps with like the directing and the cinematography, where we're kind of like, it's just it's not very flashy. Even the long takes, you're just kind of there with her, almost like walking with, especially the scene where she's walking from her house, all out of her house and all the way into the barn, and she's setting up the laptop and the projector. It's you're just there in the room with her. It's not flashy, it's not too fancy. It's what it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think even too like. There was some really, really great lighting setups for kind of what she's going through in those kind of trippier sequences. But I think, again, this kind of speaks to the fact that, like, you can make a film from anything. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're like, oh, man, I'm sitting at home by myself and I have a great short script that I want to write and I only have me, like, you can take a laptop and set it up in the corner of the room and you can just kind of go at it. And as long as the style fits the substance, I think you can kind of do anything.
Yeah, I think this was even just, take all the messages and just stuff alone or out of it. I think this is just a great inspiring movie for a lot of young and even independent filmmakers to watch, to show what can be done nowadays with such a low budget. And it almost speaks to it as well that it was such a low budget and we still saw it. It was in theaters. It was we paid on Amazon to watch it. It's a small crew, small set, small budget. Small. I mean, they're filming on laptops and GoPros a lot of the time, and like they got distribution for this, and it was in the theaters, and it's just speaking to what like how powerful the independent filmmaker is nowadays if you have a good idea and good direction with it. Yeah. So I feel like we probably said everything.
Yeah, there's not too much again to say about this film without having seen it, because the film in itself is the experience, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
It's definitely, you have to jump down this rabbit hole with this character, and kind of, again, the experience of it is where you find a lot of the joys and highs and lows in this film, whereas, again, when you step away from it and you kind of analyze the messages, it's like, there might be some very simple and obvious themes going on at play here, but there's still a lot of, like, introspective analysis you could do about it from what the character actually goes through.
Yeah, I think your personal experience is going to maybe be kind of dictate what you get out of it.
So definitely give it a watch. We're all going to the World's Fair. It's out on all streaming stuff where you can rent stuff right now. I'm not sure if it came anywhere for free yet, but it is out of theaters, so you do have to stream it. But it's one of those great experiences where, like, turn the lights down, make a snack, maybe grab your favorite stuffed bunny, and maybe chill out for a little bit, and kind of go through another perspective with someone else. So we got a lot more content coming your way on the channel. We got some more reviews and some other tests and tutorials and stuff that we're cooking up. So stay locked in. We have some more productions coming as well, and we'll see you next time. Check out Supermoon Studios on Instagram, Facebook. Check out www.supermoonstudios.com to get all your favorite new Supermoon merch, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
And you won't have any idea what happened to me.